I just wanted to do that. I don't know why. There's no greater way to start. The reason we're starting with one of those is because today we're talking about internet love story.
Stupid idiot.
Yeah. And we have our usual suspects.
Woo!
The usual ouchers.
Woo!
We have Enrique.
Woo!
Woo. We have Jorge.
What's up?
Shut your damn mouth.
And we have
Want a balloon, Georgie?
and we have the one and only our fearless leader, Angel. Yeah. All right. What's up, fellas?
What up? What up? I was gonna say, Booker T mode. We're coming for you.
What you mean?
What up, guys?
What up?
What's going on?
Okay. Question for you guys. What's the craziest thing you've seen on the internet lately? Just gonna jump right in on this bad
That
boy.
thing that Enrique just showed us right now. About that. What's the first thing you think when you see me? Hello, Georgie.
So there's some nonsense on the internet, right?
No shit, sure.
Yeah, right.
Hide your wives, hide your kids.
That was it, George. It was Anton Dobson from like 2003. Come on now. There's been a lot of crazy stuff since then. What's going on? What's new? What's the craziest thing you've seen on the internet lately? Don't lie. Don't lie.
Angel, what do you say? That's a good point there, Angel. Thanks.
What?
Was that through a tin can? What the fuck was that?
That's fucking Jabba, bro.
Oh,
Solo.
Han me bookie.
Hans me bookie?
No, that's an actual line. He says Han me bookie.
I'm betting that the Lakers won't cover the spread. Solo bet taken. Oh man.
Hey, tin can. That's funny too, by the way.
Okay, so I wanted to talk to you guys about this because this was wild to me, and I knew this was just gonna like open a can of worms. But have you guys seen the videos of random people just punching women in the chest?
No, have not.
No, what?
What fucking rabbit hole have you gone down?
Yeah,
dude?
bro.
So I've been telling people for a long time that we have to start paying attention
I thought you were gonna say punching women in the chest. Like, Jesus Christ!
Relax. Listen.
Your algorithm's messed up, bro.
Hold on. No, it's this is the world we live in, you guys. In New York, over 200% increases of random assaults against women have begun. And basically what the police are reporting is, and there's video, if you go and you look on YouTube, where you will just see someone randomly walking down the street and then their face will automatically shift to rage, and then they will just randomly deck a woman in some capacity. This is not meditated. This is not a homeless person with mental health issues. These are random people with no priors just losing their and just attacking people for no given reason. There are a couple cases. There are a couple of cases where individuals have like prior history of like violence against random strangers, but they're starting to notice that there's a trend with even normal people, just men, just walking down the street and just randomly assaulting women.
But why? Is it an incel matter, or what the fuck is it? Or if it's not drug induced or mental fucking...
So that is the question that we are exploring today. We do not have a definitive answer. There is no pattern of behavior because all these situations are pretty random, but this has been occurring a lot more.
I haven't seen the videos of the attacks themselves, but I have been seeing videos of women posting like, "Oh my god, I just got punched in the face. I got punched in the like all this stuff." It happened to one of the Desperate Housewives. I don't know which one, whatever. Or not Desperate, Real Housewives. I'm actually watching Desperate Housewives right
So,
now.
like here it says, this is from 4 days ago. NYPD said that in 2024 alone, there had been 95 unprovoked assaults in Manhattan, 50 of which involved women. Arrests come on the heels of numerous women using TikTok to share their accounts of seemingly random assaults in Manhattan, and at least one arrest was made previously in connection with those attacks. So, I mean, maybe it's just like a weird, like trend, weird fad. I mean, it happens where, you know, like people just become copycats of something, and because there's video, you can sort of like create a trend. People can share it and see it, and it becomes like a thing.
Yeah, especially with it being like a TikTok trend. I didn't know if it was something where individuals, like women, just started posting these things and they could be true. But I mean, with them filing police reports, but the key here is that there is CCTV camera footage of a lot of women actually just being assaulted. Like I saw in a video, there was this woman just walking down there were two women talking to each other, walking down the street, and this white guy is walking, and he kind of like walks in between them, but instead of just like splitting them and walking through in between the two conversating, he literally just reared back with both of his fists and like Superman punched them both in the chest. And one of them was kind of an elderly woman, so when she got hit, she like fell to the ground and like laid down on her side, and like it's pretty scary to think about, but it's something that we're seeing on an uptick in a trend. And I've been warning people for a while now, because people are on the verge of snapping. Like, people don't want to work anymore, they're exhausted, they're tired, there's this feeling of dread that,
well, in their defense, like when you work hard and you get no reward out of it, there's no hope for you to fucking owning a home or fucking just, getting by. And then relationships are on an all-time low.
You said, who are you defending? in their defense, who are you defending? I'm confused.
I know, society in general, like just the fact that you're saying how fucking
yes, okay, but nonetheless,
going.
So Angel, I love how you brought it up. You mentioned incels, and we have like these groups of men who are just kind of at that point where they've had it. You got incels.
Well, then learn to get a personality.
You got
social. You fucking idiots.
Okay, but I mean,
fucking retards.
Calm down. Is there a connection between those specialized groups and men just losing it? You got men going their own way. You got the red pill community. You got incels.
Define red pills for those of us that don't know. I'm talking about myself.
Essentially, the red pill community is a group of individuals who have responded to the feminist movement. And so by rebuttaling the feminist arguments of misogyny and yada, 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 the red pill community are the groups of men that have kind of like risen on the internet to debate and dispute women, especially in the feminist group.
Dickless, got it. Move on. So
essentially, when you talk about these specialized groups, like what is it that like men are connecting with these groups for? Like what is that one thing that pulls a person into these groups in the first place? What would make a person be an incel or a red pillar or men going their own way or a passport bro? What do you guys think it is?
A passport
bro.
Are those the ones that go to Thailand and shit because they can't get something here?
Essentially, they go out of state. I mean, they go out of the country to find a wife, and then they might bring back a foreigner who's a wife.
Yeah, pathetic.
Because they're more traditional.
Okay, we know where he stands. Damn, I don't know. There's a lot to unpack.
Okay, so the reason I'm asking, and I think George just basically knocked it out of the park, is there is a callback for men, because the role of many men, their principle is that they still want what we would consider a traditional wife, a stay-at-home, like cook, clean, that kind of a woman. Where you have women in today's culture who are more like, I want to go out, I want to party, I want a guy to provide everything.
I don't think. Sorry, let me interject. I don't think it's the women want to go out and go party. I don't think. I think you're kind of like just. We should probably have a woman in the room for this, but I don't think that's the case. They just want equal rights and equality. That's what most
that sounds great on paper, sir. But if you spend 5 minutes on the internet, you will see that there is a trend of women who do want to party.
Yeah, if you go on the internet, you're going to see a whole fucking raging incels out there that are fucking toxic as fuck. The internet shows you the worst of society. That's just a small, bumpkiss of actual truth. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but you have basically the whole equal rights thing. No problem with equal rights, but it seems that it's equal rights on like when you want them, and then you want special treatment like when it's convenient for you. In the sense, what I'm saying is that they talk about equal rights, and like I said, all for it, okay, but then they want traditional
roles from the men when it's not basically reciprocated in the traditional roles or for women. Not saying, like I said, I'm not saying.
But you're talking about like a specific type. That's like gold digger. I'm not saying all of them are.
Well,
like
that's what I'm saying is like not
way. Then you're
arguing for one or the other. I'm just saying that this is what is out there.
It is out there. There's also racist fucks out there, but that's not the point. What I'm trying to say is you can't generalize and say that's what's wrong with American women. That's the culture that is going out there. It's just a small part of a bigger problem. Just like the other way, you have male chauvinists out there. They're like, I'm the man. I want to lead the house. But let's be real. That's not healthy. That's not the way it is nowadays. It's just not.
Okay, so look at the trends in the past 20 years. Both male and female roles in society and the power struggles that have happened. You know, we had like the feminist movements from the past 40 years, like third, fourth wave feminism, what have you. You know, back in the late 90s, early 2000s, you had the whole thing about the nice guy movement, you know, like, and how, you know, like the sort of hidden, you know, for lack of a better term, toxicity behind that idea. And, you know, then, you know, with video culture, you can amplify one person's voice and make it sound like a lot more people. So you had guys like Elliot, what's his name? The guy who, Elliot Rodger, remember him? He's a guy in 2014 that put out that video. I'm a nice guy and it makes me so mad. And then he goes out and he kills people because of that. I mean, so yes, there is like an unspoken rage, but I don't know that it's everybody who feels that way. I think you have like this kind of underlying maybe resentment, sort of like, because we're in a very huge transitional phase of society where people are redefining their roles and what that means. And then you have weirdos like, you know, this guy, Elliot Rodgers, and other people like that who get propagated. Their voices get louder because video allows them to. So now, right now, the videos that you brought up, Doyle, about these random guys, like it almost seems like it is connected to, you know, earlier he said incels. Incels, for those who don't know, are is basically an offshoot of the Gamergate people. These guys, it's the man movement, the guys who believe that the men's rights are being, you know, repressed. And that's sort of that push and pull that I was talking about a bit ago, where incels are essentially like, you know, like female feminists. They're maninists. I don't know what to call them, but you know, but they're to a kind of dirty, like dark degree, because somehow, you know, men feel like, well, okay, we've had some privilege over the years. Men have had privilege in society. It's an absolute, you know, truth of society. We've had a privilege both in business and in workforce, but there was a time when there was this idea that it was an equal thing, right? We had shared roles in society, but those things are being questioned, because female then said, well, where's my place in all of this? And it was a valid question at the time, and it still is a valid question. However, like anything else, people go extreme on one versus the other. So now you have these guys walking around punching women, and it seems like it's connected to that sort of underlying resentment. And I'm sure there's some video component to it. I'm sure there's like,
think people are running out there and punching women out because they feel screw women?
Yes and no. I think it's like, dude, just like anything else, it's like, okay, think of it this way. I go out to a bar. Maybe this is a bad example. I'm going to see if I can work this out. Let's say I go out to a bar because I feel like I want to be around people, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that I want to go get drunk or whatever, but that's ultimately what ends up happening. It's a consequence of going out into the world. So I think there's maybe resentment the guys have. So they go out into society feeling angry, and then before you know it, they do something heinous like punch somebody because they saw that somebody else did it. And suddenly it's like an okay to do it. Because, I mean, clearly there's a trend. There's a lot of these attacks that have been happening. So there's definitely some mental agenda that's happening. You know, somebody like a few years ago, you know, the videos where those guys would walk up to a random person and then punch him in the side of the head to see if they can knock them out.
Yeah, knockout game.
Yeah. So there's always going to be things like that. And mind you, maybe there's like 30, 40 incidences, but because you can put it on video, it seems like there's hundreds and thousands of them. It's still scary though.
I think what it
right there.
I think what it could be too is that you have a bunch of men aimless because they don't have that masculine role model to go ahead and show them like the responsibilities of men and this and that. And so now they're just out there, and let's not go ahead and pretend that physically men aren't superior to women. And so you have
projecting. No, I'm just kidding.
so you go ahead and
let's change the word superior, because that's the thing with languages. Words have like a sort of, it injects a certain
emotional response.
Yeah, and so when we say superior, then suddenly people have to say, well, they're not superior. More like men have there's just a biological difference. I mean, that's the argument, isn't it? Like men have a biological difference. They're stronger. They have more body mass, that sort of thing.
Hold on, correct me if I'm wrong.
Bones are more dense.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Enrique, but isn't it we have stronger upper body strength and women have stronger lower body strength? Is that correct? Or?
There's truth to that. There's truth to that.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what it is. So
there's truth to it, but if you compare what a man can squat to what a woman can squat, a man still can squat more.
It's an apples to oranges comparison.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a thing like
I thought that was,
females have more like a better pain reducers, because obviously they have to bear children and so their bodies can endure pain much longer, that sort of thing. They're more but we have like, when it comes to medicines, we have a better response to medicines because our bodies don't naturally build those immunities where women do. So they have worse reactions to antibiotics and that sort of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of interesting like biological issues there that come up that makes difference. But going back to the whole thing, like, I mean, I'm going to use the Elliott Smith again as an example, is somebody who feels like the world like owed him like the pretty girl, and because he's a nice guy. But I mean, the guy goes out and kills a bunch of people.
How much of a nice guy is he really?
Right. But that underlying sentiment is something that you see a lot, and you see I mean, the reason I brought up Gamergate earlier is because it for me, that's kind of when it became more known to me. And I think that for a lot of people, that's sort of what indoctrinated people into the red pill society, into the incel society, because I think those two groups, there was a natural overlap. Gamergate was basically guys who felt their video games were being changed unfairly to fit an agenda, right? To be more inclusive. So, characters like Laura Croft and, like in the 90s, you had these really over buxom women, just like in the comics. Guys were happy because, let's be honest, the largest consumer of these games were guys. I mean, if I was going to get on Counter-Strike, and talk to random people, more often than not, it was dudes. And so dudes want to see girls with boobs. They want to see guns, right? Well, now you have girls who want to be in the community as well. And great, come on in. But now everybody needs to change all the games. And you had these, I'm trying to remember what the name of this one, I think something Anna Sakarian. I forget what her name was.
Yeah.
So she created these theses about how these games were toxic and propagating the male fantasy and the power struggle, and because of it, there were large responses by video games, an over response, if you will.
A lot of harassment.
Well, what I'm saying is that it's an overcorrection. Companies suddenly say, well, now we have to get rid of all boobs, and now we have to, like, instead of having an attractive like princess to save, let's have like a androgynous, princess to save. And guys are like, no, I kind of want the pretty girl to save. That's cool. So there was an over response, and before you know it, they get indoctrinated into the whole political spectrum of it, and then you have incels, right?
But okay, question for you guys, because that is a fantastic point. But is this part of what is creating the rise of incels? Because it is a attack on masculinity when you start to tell me that I have to be in tune with my feelings and that I can't be misogynistic or that I can't be masculine to a certain degree in ways that I was raised to be, or in ways that I speak, in ways that I behave. With the rise of the LGBTQ, there have been overcorrections, like you said. So where these incels are coming from is they feel under the pressure to change, where they didn't feel like maybe they weren't really the problem, essentially, and then now they have become the problem for them just kind of existing. And I've personally felt like there have been arguments that have been made in my direction where I'm like, that doesn't even fit me, but yet it's still being, like, have you ever had a conversation with like a fourth wave or fifth wave feminist, and she's like, all men are responsible for the patriarchy, and you're like,
oh yeah,
hold on, let me finish. And she's like, when she says these things, you're kind of like, I'm for equal rights, just like you are. I'm not really a misogynist in that sense. Like, I think, people should get a fair wage for what they work. And then she's like, no, all women need to get paid and yada, yada, yada. And what they start doing is they start arguing for their specialized group. And in the process, they disregard you and basically dehumanize you in order to elevate their specialized group. But in the process, you're under scrutiny for something you didn't do.
Well, like you just mentioned in the last episode, it's basically Magneto with the Hitler comparison. It's the same fucking thing. But
Feminists or Hitler?
Feminists or Hitler, yeah. No. But you're talking about extremists, I was going to say. The extremists on both sides are fucking idiots. Like, on both sides.
Always.
Always. You've got the extreme incels and you got the extreme feminists. So, like I said, the fucking bird is, the both wings are fucking crazy.
So just so we clear, just so we define it. A feminist is a woman who is pro-feminist movement, right? Like we're defining specifically that a feminist is anyone who's pro-feminist movement, right? Mm-hmm. An incel, the specific definition, the online community of involuntarily celibate men.
It just says, see Enrique.
Radicalized by their shared mistrust of women. Incels see the idea of a female involuntarily celibate as an oxymoron. They believe that unless a woman is severely deformed, she can have sex whenever she wants. And so that is specifically the key here when we define an incel versus the red pill. Okay. The red pill understands that women can choose to it's possible that men can deny women sex. Red pill completely understands that. They understand what you hear a lot in the red pill community is the argument over hypergamy and the 1%. A man who is got a lot of resources, money, and they have all these resources to share. They're going to get a lot of women because the women want to share in their resources. But what this does is this makes like all 10 women attracted to that one guy, but the truth is only a few of those women are going to get that one guy. And a lot of the times what the red pill community is doing is they're exposing these illogical ideas that some women have about them being qualified for the 1%er. So for example, if you've done porn and you're an OnlyFans girl and you think that you're going to get with the billionaire, why would the billionaire want you when you put stuff out on the internet, etc., yada, yada, yada. So you're kind of delusional to think that you are capable of getting a 1%er. If you are a 2 and you are not attractive, but you call yourself a 10 because it makes you feel better about your own self-esteem, they're exposing those kinds of things. So that's what the red pill kind of does in response to all of these arguments that have been reprogramming women. Specifically, if you've ever seen the Whatever podcast, that's one of the things that does that. I
don't listen to any podcast but the Ouchcast.
Liar.
I'm joking. I don't even listen to this.
So a few red pill groups is the Rational Male Clips, Kevin Samuels, Melanie King, Pearly Things, Fresh and Fit, the Whatever podcast, Andrew Tate, Sadie Khan, and Nyla the Ninja. You know,
I don't know none of those except for Andrew Tate. That's the only one that I know.
Yeah, and so what they're doing, everything that they're saying is in response to.
He makes some points.
No, he doesn't. Fucking
the feminist movement.
He got hit in the head too many times.
He makes some points.
Of course, you would say that.
But both sides make points. That's the key here. It's not that the feminists
try that with your wife. Let's see how far you go.
Hey, she listens to that shit too.
The feminists are right, but so are some of the red pill points. And the key here is to take the points that work,
that make sense,
and make sense, and fuse them together until we have a rational conclusion. But I think part of the problem is, like you said earlier, is that you got people who are extreming. Mm-hmm. And so you go incels, you go men go in their own way. You got passport bros, you got all these specialized groups, but these specialized groups are growing because of the growth in the feminist movement. Mm-hmm. When you hear the consensus of like younger liberal women online and a lot of men who are dealing with these liberal women, it's the reason why these groups are growing.
Mm-hmm. So okay, there was this thing I think I was driving home like 2 weeks ago or a week ago, and Neil Tyson deGrasse was on Science Friday or something. He was just having a discussion, and people were calling in, and the kid asked him about like why is it people believe, for example, the flat Earth when before you know they didn't. And he brought up an interesting statistic and a sort of like a sort of response to it. He said that that right now, in a recent poll, that there was something like a 40% of people who believe that there is a flat Earth. Now, where back in the 80s,
you had to bring that in front of George.
Back in the 80s, back in the 80s, the percentage was something like maybe like 2 or 3% when they did like a national poll of that. And then
when
he said
indoctrination was strong.
Right. No, what he said was, and this is the interesting part. He said that the difference is that back then when you had a fringe idea, oftentimes you were, it was just you and maybe like a few of your friends who might talk about it, agree with it, but society at large, kind of, already knew what the facts were, at least, what they pertain to this particular thing. And therefore society, sort of took care of that, in a sort of kind of, in a Darwinistic kind of way, where obviously the larger crowd knew, and you had to go get the facts from somewhere. But now, because of social media, one person believes it and they get amplified because they can find people who are like-minded, and suddenly they feel like they're part of a group. And it's it's proven that when you have consensus amongst a group of people, you feel more right than wrong, whether it's fact or not. So that then gets propagated. So I think in the point that Doyle is making is that the growth of like somebody like incels, when there are some very negative aspects to it, is because you suddenly form a community and a group around it, and it's easier to find those people now because of social media and because of the internet, where before, you'd be hard pressed to find more than like 3 or 4 people, maybe 5, like what was it in the Married with Children, like the man hater group. Yeah, no ma'am. Like you had a fraternity of guys who found each other and they propagated
the nudie bar.
Yeah. And so I think that
men
that's
were ahead
something
of their time.
So I think that's the thing to that. It's like right now, we can form these communities, and in this case, it's a negative one because you got a bunch of people who have these bad ideas who kind of click up, and they feel like entitled to that. Like there's some truth in that.
Why do you think they feel like they have the empowerment? Why do you think they feel it's correct for them to do that?
Because there's a lot of examples of it. I mean, right now, for example, like, okay, so look at how unfair people feel. Like if a girl decides that she wants to, feel comfortable to show off her body on Instagram, and before you know it, she can go on OnlyFans and she gets paid for it. She's basically exploiting a very natural thing, and that is the guys are going to pay her money to see her do lewd things, and therefore she becomes money. And so there's this kind of underlying feeling of unfairness that I think people feel about it. I don't feel that way, but I'm just saying that that's sort of the prevailing thought.
Floozy.
And so what ends up happening that it becomes it becomes another talking point of why why men are like resentful of it, or like you're saying I don't have you're saying that men have privilege. Well, look at you you can go out and make like thousands of dollars on the internet just showing your body.
More power to her.
Right, agreed. But that's just one point, and then there's a bunch of other reasons for that. But I think that's why
you have to take into account, like I said, both points. Yes, great. She has every right to show her body in whatever way she wants to, but there are consequences to that. Where what you're hearing out of the delusional side of the feminist movement is she showed her body, what makes her unworthy of love. And guys are like, because she banged a bunch of dudes online and I don't want my girl to have a bunch of pictures online. And then they call that misogyny. But hold on, let me finish. And if they call that misogyny, it's okay for women to have standards and preferences, but it's not okay for men to have standards and preferences. And so the point that you have to take from both sides is, yeah, you have the freedom to do that, but I also have the freedom to choose. Okay. And so you can't take that away from one side or the other and expect people to not rebuttal and respond in one way or another.
But that's not the problem. The problem is you have group A, which are slut shaming someone else for doing what they want. That is the problem.
Yes, but the same OnlyFans girl will basically call the men misogynists for not choosing them because the OnlyFans girl is attracted to the guy.
I agree on that matter as well. But I think the male being a fucking chauvinistic and being like you're a fucking slut is even stronger or more loud than.
Okay, then what is a slut? If it's not a person who has sex for money on camera and sleeps around with a bunch of people, then what is a slut?
That's not a slut. That's a whore.
Okay.
Same thing.
So,
No,
like
it's not.
Same thing.
Okay,
A slut gives it away for free.
okay. A slut gives it away for free.
A whore does it for money.
Okay, so if
And that
Chances
applies
are
to both genders.
chances are that horse sluts around.
fair, that's a fair assessment. You have
Hold on. Let's analyze what he
That
just
horse sluts around.
said. That whore.
She gets paid, and while she gets paid, she's a whore. But she'll go out and she'll still continue that activity without getting paid.
But it's not just a
And she'll be
female.
slut around.
Men do it as well.
yes, but here's the thing: women do not care if men have a high body count and sleep around. Most women, that is actually a sign of validation when it comes to the women's side, and you will hear a lot of women say this themselves. A man who can prove to it's the reason why the guy looks more attractive when he has a girl, because it's called pre-selection. In pre-selection, you are showing that you are capable, that you are accepted, that you are normal. When you see that guy sitting by himself in the corner at the club who's not talking to anybody, what do they label him?
Stalker.
The creep. It's because
He's a weirdo.
subconsciously,
What the hell is he doing there?
Yes, subconsciously, what you're seeing is this person is not socially acceptable. He's not showing he's inept. It doesn't mean that every guy has to sleep around, but it is something that subconsciously women look for, because that guy is more, the guy who has more women
He's
around
desirable.
yeah, he's more likely to be able to communicate, to talk to you, where the guy who's off by himself, he may not have the social skills to treat you how you want to be treated.
Why are you looking at Enrique when you said that, though?
Why not?
Oh, okay. Speaking of sleeping around,
I have a breaking Doyle news. Her name being Abby Hensel.
you guys
And
know that name? You guys know that name? Nobody?
Let me just say, if you have ever thought I could get married but have a threesome every night, this is the story for you. Who is conjoined twin Abby Hensel's husband? Josh Bowling. This guy married a conjoined twin. She has basically one body, two heads. It is a conjoined twin from the shoulders up. And she has found love. She has finally gotten married. So there's someone out there for everyone. Let me just say that. There is someone out there for everyone. I am sure Abby is a lovely human being. And she and her sister, which her name is not mentioned here, but I am sure that they are both lovely individuals.
The
because
nameless one.
But this guy, Josh, has now officially married Abby. And I have some questions. I just have some questions. I'm going to throw these questions out. I'm not even going to read the article. I am going to ask this question off the bat. Josh, what were you thinking? And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm definite. I'm just serious. I want to know, what was it? What was that?
That's nasty.
I just want to know, was it two heads are better than one? I don't know. I'm sorry. I had to say it. I just need to know. I have questions.
I have a lot of questions.
I got questions.
You always have third wheel dates.
Imagine getting into an argument with your wife. Don't tell your sister.
Now imagine getting into an argument, just hearing them both take turns talking to you, like telling you off.
I couldn't do it.
Thing. Yeah. Another thing. Yeah.
She's right.
You never take me out anymore.
When are you going to treat us to a vacation like us?
Why are you looking at my sister like that?
I saw you checking out her butt. It's your butt.
It's your butt.
It's our butt.
You were kissing me and thinking of her.
And then taking her out to eat. I mean, I'm sure that costs twice as much.
That is
But
true.
they share one stomach. Do they?
You know what would
Do
be
they
crazy? If there was a cheating scandal. She was like, I was asleep.
You were in the same room.
Oh my god.
Terrible.
Okay.
Keep reading it. Anything else?
No, I think we've done enough.
No. There actually was a response to Abby Hensel.
Which was?
No.
I regret.
She actually did mention that there was a lot of questions, and she actually, I can't find it, or I'm just too lazy to look it up, but she basically said that how does a marriage work? Yes, I am intimate with my husband. I'm paraphrasing, of course, because Ouchcast is never for facts. Yes, I am intimate with my husband. Yes, of course, my sister's there when I have sex with him, but most of the time she puts on a podcast or tries to close her eyes and not think about it.
Abby, check us out. We're online. Come on, Spotify. Listen. That's 2 views.
That's what she's. And then the other thing is that sometimes, yes, the twin feels the orgasm.
Dang, that's an ego stroke. 2 for the price of 1, baby. What's up? I got you and your sister. Huh?
Bang.
Huh?
Dude, that's...
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's gotta show you there's love for everyone, dude. There's someone will always find someone,
Which kind of goes back to my thesis question here, because when we say that the feminists are right, but we also say the red pill is right? Like, you're right, but you're wrong at the same time, if that makes sense. And I think part of the problem is depending on what perspective you're trying to be right about, if you don't see the total picture, if you don't see the whole story, you're gonna miss something significant in the plight of other people, right? Which brings me to this point that I wanted to discuss with you guys. And I get it, we're guys, but you don't need a woman's perspective to comment on this, because I'm pretty sure there's an understanding that we can all come to an agreement on here. And this is what it is. Have you guys ever noticed the plight of pretty?
You mean the beauty bubble?
Describe your beauty bubble.
The beauty
bubble is where someone is, both male and female, are so attractive that they live inside this bubble that is outside of actual reality. So basically, they get away with fucking murder, or just the reality doesn't apply to them because of their beauty.
That is pretty privilege.
Okay.
We are talking about the plight of pretty.
Okay. Is that the negative side of it? Which is basically like if someone's pretty, they're not smart, or if someone's pretty, that this is beneath them, or something like that. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yes. So there are
negative consequences to being pretty.
Yes.
If somebody came into the room and they were going to freaking rape somebody, well, they're not going to rape the ugly person.
I'm safe, thank God.
Yes. And you have to
think, time to play.
What are you doing with that Coke bottle? No, it's my fruit cocktail.
That's disgusting. You think about it throughout history. Mm-hmm. There's a village, and a young girl grows up, and everyone's like, "Oh, she's so pretty." And then you have a group of barbarians that come and like raid the village.
I'm looking at you, George.
You know what's going to happen? What's going to happen is they're going to kill all the men in the village. They're going to look over the women. They're going to destroy all the crops in the land and everything. And more than likely, the leader of the group, if this girl is attractive enough, they're going to grab her, take her, and then make her a concubine within, their compound. And if you think about it, it's because of her attraction or her attractiveness. And let me flip the script and put men in this, because it doesn't just apply to women.
I was gonna say Marcel Wallace.
Have you ever been okay? As if you're an attractive guy and you're with your wife and you're just spending time with your wife, and you have the drunk, horny girls who come up to you and hit on you, like, that's not a good feeling to have, especially if your wife is like, why is that girl talking to you? Why? Or, it makes her insecure.
English, motherfucker, do you speak it?
You may not do anything. You may not be responsible for the reason that girl came up to you in the first place. Yeah. But that's a negative consequences, just for you looking that way. Oh, you're a cheater. How could you do that? And it's just because you're an attractive individual.
Well, you're an attractive individual, not to sound, gay. But
I don't want to sound like a queer, nothing.
I don't want to say like a queer, but you got a nice mouth. But no, you're a handsome lad, right? It happens to you sometimes. I've heard some of the Squid Squad listeners or viewers on Instagram. They always comment on you, and they're like, "One little piece of Doyle."
Word?
Yeah, I'm honest.
So I stay off the internet.
I've had 2 and 3. I'm like, hey, sorry, he's married. And they're like, oh, man. and then they go, happily? And I'm like, yeah.
Damn, see?
Yeah.
See, that's crazy. They plotting on my marriage over here. That's wrong. Yeah. Shame on you. But keep listening.
So my question is, like, that's not, you're at fault at all, right?
Right.
So how does that, but that affects your relationship with your wife. If it's
sure.
Like, let's say, knock on wood, the show does take off and we start getting more popular and, you know, we start doing some, you know, on-air touring and live recordings with people. Your wife might be a little more cautious about the fact that you're out in the public, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's one of the reasons why, honestly, I never wanted to be in front of the camera.
Mm-hmm.
I always wanted to be behind the camera because I have gotten positive and negative attention being out in public. A short story. One time we went to a club and as a joke, I got up and I was like dancing on top of a table, and this woman ran up to me and grabbed my leg, but like all like weird, like I'm dancing in an elevated like position, right? Like, you know, normally like they can have the girls at the DJ booth. So the DJ jokingly said, I'm gonna put the dudes up here. And so it was kind of a dare. And I jumped up there and I started dancing. But in the process, this woman came up to me and she grabbed my leg. Like she would have pulled me down had her friend not grabbed her. And that's scary because I could have been injured. I could have hit my head. You know, I was drinking. There was all kinds of stuff that happened that day. But luckily, I came out of that unscathed. No biggie, no harm, no foul.
No biggie.
But if you apply that same principle, if a guy did that to a girl, you know, like what does that say? Society would be, oh, that's the worst thing. That's so bad. But that's just because if she's attractive and a guy were to do that to her, it's inappropriate. But if I'm a guy and I'm attractive and a woman does that to me, oh, you lucky, you could have smashed. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. But there is negative consequences with being attractive. And so have you guys noticed any consequences?
No, because I'm ugly as fuck.
Okay, so
the only thing that I've always had a thing they're attracted to me, and it's one thing that I'm not attracted to is white cougars. For some odd reason, even when I was younger, like white cougars have always been attracted to me, and they're not my cup of tea. You know, more power to them, but for me, it's like negated.
Like Bill Gates' ex, like that kind of cougar.
I don't know what she looks like.
I don't either. I'm just saying, like we're saying, like older.
I'm not saying monetary wise. I'm just talking about like older Fresno area white, named Susan, kind of chain smoking, lives with 3 cats, kind of thing, you know. And for me, it's like that's a deal breaker for me. That's not something that I'm into. You know?
I said no, Susan.
So I'm trying to figure out, because it really just sounds like pretty privilege and the plight of the pretty are kind of the same thing, in the sense that you have the society prefers good-looking people, and good-looking people, because their view of themselves is skewed because they get all of this attention which they claim is unwanted, yet they benefit from it. I mean, like, you know, like research statistics wise, like it shows in every statistic that pretty people make more money. Pretty people get better jobs. In fact, have access to jobs. I mean, look at newscasters. Almost every newscaster, female newscaster, if you look at their yearbooks, have been they've been beauty queens.
Yeah,
you know, even up into Sarah Palin, you know, who is working for Fox now. I mean, all of these women have been like beauty queens. Even like babies, for example, prefer pretty faces over ugly ones. I mean, that's just a weird thing, but it's true.
If it's baby approved, could we really be at fault?
Well, you know, I think it says something. Yeah. It's just, you know what? That's a really good question. But I think it says something about like about our preferences. Like these things are like innate in us. They're ingrown. Yeah. And so
people love beautiful.
But here's the thing, though. Like, but I think that also validates our push for some equality. Though we have to be consciously equal because we're not innately equal. I mean, the whole beginning of this discussion was how there are differences between us that are biological, and those things put us at different advantages, and that's fine. I think that's just how it is.
What the advantage of the not so attractive person is that their personality and their ability to get along with people is more attractive than.
I don't know that that's always true, though. I don't know. I think anecdotally,
it's not always true.
I think anecdotally, yes, but I don't know.
For the most part, that's what it is.
I think anecdotally, what I'm, meaning like, yeah, as a personal opinion, but I don't know that the facts bear that out. I think that society, unfortunately, makes more positions and more allowances for people that are attractive, and I think that's kind of what bleeds back. If you want to, it's a circle, right?
But just like
the reason why people get resentful is because on some level we know that. So guys right now are rebelling against that because of like this insecurity that we have. So they're walking around punching women.
Get better personalities, fuckers.
Yeah, and so it's just it's hard not to feel somewhat resentful, but again, I think it's the reason why we need to be very conscious about some equality. We do have to be purposeful when we're trying to make things somewhat make sense and equal, because innately our tendencies are different. But that doesn't mean we have to throw out the baby with the bathwater.
You're saying like to make things equal. What the heck can't a woman do that a man can do right now?
See, you're
give birth.
That is such a loaded question.
No, equal. What I mean equal is more like look at the inherent biases that we have, and then just think twice about it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying like an extreme example. Like if you want to get into discussion of like women who men who identify as women and suddenly become like the world's best at whatever they're doing, that's unfair. That fucking sucks. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't be happening. You can ask any reasonable person, even up into like somebody like Neil Tyson deGrasse, who agrees like that shouldn't be happening.
Nope.
But you know what?
Have their own league.
Right. But see what happens right now is that we have an overcorrection of this thing. So when I say we need to be purposeful, it means that we need to be mindful. We shouldn't shut down those discussions. We just need to make sure that those things are happening. Those discussions are happening with some open-mindedness to it. But see, that's not how we work. Instead, we work ideologically. We want to win. We want to win an argument. We want to be right, and that's where the bullshit breaks down.
But the word equality is also a loaded trigger word, because equal is non-existent when you have different circumstances. Mm-hmm. If we are inherently different, then how can we ever be equal? How can we ever be equal if we are working under different circumstances? For example, the reason why I brought up the plight of pretty and not pretty privilege is because it's so easy for everybody to be like, oh, well, they're so attractive, they get all this given to them. This is what a lot of incels will say about women. Oh, she gets a bunch of free stuff and they get drinks bought for them and stuff like that. Yeah, but also with the danger of having a drink bought for you, you don't know if it's laced. Yep. Yeah. And so there are certain things that when you say equal, you can't just be like, oh, well, they have all these benefits and skip over all the negatives. And that's the problem with all of this, is that we want to skip past all the negatives that an individual may have to entertain, but we will specifically jump to all the stuff that we acknowledge that is a benefit for them. But sometimes those benefits come with negative consequences, and if you don't take the time to walk in another person's shoes, you will never understand. One of the most interesting facts that I've ever heard them bring up on one of the Red Pill shows, they were talking about equal pay. And the guy asked the woman, he said, why do women deserve equal pay? And she was like, well, because we do. And she didn't really have a strong argument of why.
Well, now, you ask somebody who, the thing I hear with those shows is they always ask really dumb people those questions.
Yes, they do.
People who are not ready to have that kind of discussion.
For the record, I am not a red pillar. And I always, it
could have fooled me.
It disgusts me, but they do bring up valid points. For example, when he was rebuttaling this girl, he specifically brought up the industries in which men lead in. They lead in like engineering, architectural, like industries that like build the structure of society. And this is one of the reasons why there isn't equal pay, because the structure, the entire of our society is built off of the backs of men. Now, women are more than welcome to come and enter these industries, but they choose not to. Women are leading in psychology and marketing and things like that. But these industries, when you talk about like infrastructure, like building a freeway, who do you see on the freeway building a freeway? Who do you see making a $100 million skyscraper and they're at the top of the crane? 90% of the time, 99% of the time is going to be a guy.
Yeah, but you've got to make the distinction between the manual labor aspect of that versus the
administrative in the back
and the mathematical.
Yes.
And here's the thing.
Okay, but wait, let me finish this point because there's a very valid principle to this. When Bill Burr was making that joke about Oprah and the DVD player and single moms, and he was like, oh, you mean to tell me that a single mom has the hardest job in the world, but there's an oil rig person who has to work 15 hours on a rig, and like he could lose his life, or like an ice road trucker who has to drive these dangerous terrains, like, oh, this is the hardest job in the world. So what we're saying here is we're comparatively comparing the jobs that the women are doing compared to the jobs that the men are doing, and then we're asking the question, do we deserve equal pay? Right? That's the principle here.
So, do women deserve equal pay? The short, simple answer is yes. But like men, they have to earn it.
Yes.
You have to earn access. But I think the real issue here, though, is that there has been a system for a long time where pay wasn't equal, and it was based on this perception that women don't contribute as much to the workforce. Like, we're talking back in the 30s and the 20s and the 30s, and therefore their pay was lower. Right. And so you're kind of undoing that sort of thing. Now, women have a lot of buying power now. Like, it's proven that right now the statistics have shifted. Now there are more women now who are homeowners than men.
Yes.
Right? There's that. Now, mind you can be cynical and say, well, it's because men, there's more divorces and stuff, and there may be some truth to that. But generally speaking, women are making more money in now than they ever have been. And so the statistics are going to look different in 20, 30 years from now. And this discussion will be a much more different one then.
Yes.
But I do think that up until this point, the question was a valid one. Do women deserve equal pay? And the answer is, like, unequivocally, yes, they do, but they have to earn it.
Yes. And part of the answer that was given was specifically that the statistic is skewed, number one, because when you take in account of what men make and you say the average man makes 60 to 75,000 a year, that's the average man, right? But where's that average being built in from? Billionaires. Trillionaires. Who are the billionaires and the trillionaires? There's probably more men that are billionaires and trillionaires contributing to the average than not. So when you think of more women being college educated, you probably would balance that out. If you actually look at who's making what, you probably do have more average women making more money than average men. So part of the argument, and this is not the point that I'm bringing up is not really about the pay. It's about like understanding the bigger principle of both sides of the argument here. So it's easy to say women deserve equal pay, but we have to take into account all the factors of what they're actually contributing to the argument, right? And so I just thought it was very interesting because I never thought about those industries in which men work, those manual labor industries. And in a lot of those industries, if we're being honest, there are a lot of areas where those guys are being underpaid and those guys deserve more money, and no one's arguing about that point. But if men are leading these areas of industry, then it makes sense why there's this inequality here. And so we need to look at all aspects of this argument before we throw out a trigger word like equality.
So
hold on. Here's what you guys are like overcomplicating something that's simple, which is if I come in and I have my experience of, like, I don't know, fucking using this purple pen that's in front of the purple marker, right? And I have 10 years of experience, and I have a female who has exactly the same 10 years of experience to use this purple pen. We should both be getting paid the same amount.
That's what we just said. We didn't overcomplicate it.
But now you're talking about statistics, about billionaires and all this. It doesn't matter. It's just fix that matter right there. It's also a thing about race. it's been proven that if you are of a certain minority, you get paid less than
you ain't got to tell me.
But we shouldn't. Okay. So you're talking about making it complicated. You're bringing race. That's a whole different can of worms. I mean, this is just like
I'm just talking about pay equality in general. That's what I'm talking about.
But as one piece of a larger discussion. That's the whole thing.
And the point that I was trying to throw out here is to correct the overcorrection that we're getting from the feminist and from the red pill. They're both kind of like making valid points, but they're missing the biggest part of the argument, which is the overall argument of how we become equal in the first place. You can't be equal by completely disacknowledging the other side.
Right.
That's the principle. The principle here is like you have a lot of feminists who will completely say, oh, everything's misogynistic. It's a patriarchy. None of that stuff matters. Then you have the red pill go, women are delusional and we don't need any of their opinions and they don't understand the world. But it takes both in order to have equality. So, see, it would have been good until we dropped the B word in there.
My only problem with these videos that you're watching is that these guys, their whole shtick is gotcha moments and they bring. They're no different than the guy who says prove me wrong, it's stupid. Like they're not out to have discussions, they're out to shame people, to bring down, I mean, more often than not, those videos, like those videos are peppered with women who do OnlyFans, and they're just there in order to disparage and put them down, and therefore everybody else in the comments form a community around you see our point is proven, and it's honestly it's dejectable shit. I don't
know. Jordan Peterson has a lot of discussions.
How about this guy?
Jordan Peterson is like, he's a smart guy, but I mean like he's really kind of like embraced I've
got a smarter guy, Hard Rock Nick.
Who?
Oh yeah. So this guy.
Ready?
Oh my God. Go ahead for it.
The new version. What's up, guys? It's Hard Rock Nick, the Prince of Florida, the face of cryptocurrency, and one of the richest men in the world. But here he is, just a few years ago, pre-surgery. See, Hard Rock Nick is desperate for people to believe that he is famous and rich.
Look at all the richest men in the world, which I'm one of. I have 20 million in the bank. No bullshit. Google it. One of the richest men in the world. I'm here in this beautiful car wash. I don't want to shout them out because, I'm so famous. If I promote where I'm at, they're going to go viral or something like that.
And he'll say whatever he has to say through a variety of videos and posts to convince you of that.
$75 million in cash.
That's him on the Woody Show.
I don't know how much of that is I guess true or not true. Yes or no?
No, it's absolutely true. Why do I wear pink? I wear pink because I like pink.
And look at what he says on one of his sites. He's trying to convince you that the world believed he may have been a suspect in Bob Saget's death. And he says things like this, bragging about only wearing Air Jordans while with a woman.
I'm rocking my $200 Nike Air Maxes that you can't get.
Women, he says, should only be white and not have any other ethnicities. His words, not mine. And actually saying outlandish things like this have gotten him places.
That genie summoned from a bottle of Axe body spray is Hard Rock Nick.
But still, there's this mysterious side to him. Like, who the heck is this guy? His name is Ali Josh. And he actually married Jeff Goldblum's ex-girlfriend.
Nice.
Yeah. Really.
You guys make a great couple.
Thank you.
I wish you guys the best, and let's go.
So,
a few YouTubers have done a deep dive on this guy, and according to
by the way, that was, if you guys want to see the video, that go on TikTok and go to Robbie Harvey.
This is one of those guys who has garnered a lot of attention. I blame Dan Blitzerian. It's kind of in the same realm. Yeah. It's and this kind of lines up exactly what we're talking about, because this guy went extreme misogyny. Like, he went over the top to where people were offended and they were upset, and it garnered him attention, and that attention starts making him money online. Mm-hmm. And so, who's another one? Riff Raff, that rapper that we talked about when Prime was on. Shout out Prime.
Yeah,
and
Prime.
You take a person who takes a theme of a culture and then they take it to an extreme, and people are outraged by it. So you take like an incel, but you turn this incel up to an 11 or a 15.
You're gonna get people that exploit it.
Yeah.
You know what's funny about that video though? If you know the part where he was talking about his $200 Nike shoes, and he actually shows a clip of it. If he has 70 something million, which has ballooned up from the 21 that he originally said he had, how come his car is an old beat up 1991 Toyota and it's like really dirty and ugly inside?
Well, who's to say that's his only car?
Yeah, but who would drive that if you're so rich and as flamboyant as he is? If
Do you know how many miles a Toyota gets? Some things are reliable, sir.
Yeah, mofo.
Oh, with the amount of money that he's making, it wouldn't matter. He, quote unquote, he had a car for.
Hey, I know millionaires who still ask people for money. You know what I'm saying? Like there's frugal behavior with money.
Wait, you know millionaires and you haven't brought them onto the show?
Trust me, they don't want to be on the show. I've asked.
Have them help us start a alpha seminar so we can start bringing alpha males.
It's the thing that like with society and culture that like there's an inevitable conclusion. In order to ensure your survival, sometimes you have to go to an extreme, and unfortunately you have a lot of douchebags out there. That guy is like king douchebag of all douchebags.
No, that guy is like he's the poster boy for like mental illness. Like the guy, he's cut off the same stone of people like Trump who have no inner dialogue. They don't believe. Yeah, they just they have no. The guy has obviously like no inner dialogue, no inner morals, no conscience, and so basically he puts out this image and he fully believes it. I guarantee
but here's the thing.
Well, hold on. Okay, I guarantee you the guy would pass a lie detector test every single time because he truly innately believes the bullshit. The guy is crazy. That guy, I mean, I've seen his videos for years. That guy is fucking insane. But you know what though? But that's my point of like, you have one guy who puts out this shit and like if he was like in a group, like right in front of us, we would ostracize that guy. We'd laugh and we'd be like, he's harmless. But now he's on the internet and he forms a community around him and most people are laughing at him, but there's also those people who believe that shit with him and who propagate it. And so therefore he gets amplified. And then he's not that far off from somebody like fucking Andrew Tate and his Tate worms, like these guys.
Okay, but let me
I'm just saying, like it's the same, they're cut off the same stone. That's what I'm saying.
I agree wholeheartedly with Enrique.
But here's what you guys are missing. We don't know if that's who he really is behind closed doors or if that's just the persona he puts out to troll people to get you to be enraged because now we're paying attention. We're literally discussing him, and would we be discussing him if he was like us?
I believe that is the way he is behind closed doors. No one does that to their face and body and be like, oh yes, that's just for cosmetics.
The guy would win. It's not a every character. Actor award if that's
what
the case.
Actors do.
That's Oscar. No, it's not. That's Oscar quality.
Think about
performance.
It. Okay, let me point this out.
You're trying to validate this guy. That's scary.
I'm not trying to validate this guy. I'm trying to explain, going back to the same point of understanding both sides of the argument. If this is what this guy is doing to garner attention, to make money, he is putting out a persona to get your attention, to get you enraged, to get you talking. For example, most people don't think about it now, but Roman Reigns got a nose job before WrestleMania 38. Why? Because he has to put out an image that the audience is supposed to see this and it's supposed to make him better, right? And so when you saw him before, when he had his original nose and it was a little crooked because it was broken at one point, and then right before WrestleMania 38, he disappeared for 3 weeks, and then he came back and his nose looked different. It was because WWE and probably Vince was telling him, you're not attractive enough and you need to put this persona out in order to make more money. So at a point, is that who Roman Reigns is, or is that something that he did in order to garner the approval of an audience or to go viral or to make more attention? The reason I bring that up is because when we're talking about incels and we're talking about the individuals and the survival of their group, you have an individual like that who could be considered the leader. You could have somebody who's pretty normal behind closed doors. You think the guys from Jersey Shore weren't the way that they were before they were on TV? So these crazy misogynistic incels existed before the internet.
Full disclosure, I've never seen Jersey Shore.
Yeah, but you know who those douchebags are.
I vaguely, yeah. They're on my radar, just like on the side.
So they were douchebags before they were put on TV. Once they were put on TV, it just elevated what they were. But I'm pretty sure they heightened what they did and who they were in order to make money. But that can't be anybody 24/7.
And when did we start celebrating douchebags, by the way?
That's a better question, because that's exactly what that guy is. He is something that garners a lot of attention, but why are we paying attention?
I don't know. It's a car crash, and it's like
Jerry Springer?
Yeah, it's Jerry Springer. It's that anger, that Donahue anger that you get, like, oh, how can this person exist? I think that's what it might be. It's just a car crash. You just got to watch.
And that's where my question...
It's that weird... And we're at fault for putting him there, aren't we?
Well, we just gave him views, so we just helped him make more money.
No, I did not give him views. We gave the other guy views that was analyzing him. We didn't go to his page.
But then, people are going to go to his page.
God damn it, Doyle, you're right.
Yeah. But, okay, and here's the thing. Here's the whole reason why I make that rebuttal point. Because we're falling for it. We're participating in this nonsense. When you ignore those people and walk by them and give them no attention, then guess what? They don't make any money. They don't get to be on the internet, and that's what we're doing on the internet. We're paying attention to the worst of humanity.
You made us responsible for the spread.
Well,
I don't give a fuck, Keisha.
If you want to go full circle, that's the point that I made earlier. Like, you're amplifying this person. I don't watch him. I know of him because he comes out regularly on. There's this one Instagram page called Fools Gone Wild, and it's basically it's great.
I love that.
Yeah, and I mean, shout out to that channel. They're great. It's all about Chicano culture, and this guy, I'm trying to remember what his name is. He's a rapper, but he wears like a clown face, like a hockey mask with a red nose, and he puts on those lokes. And
I've seen that.
Yeah, and so his whole thing is like, are you down, fool? Sock check, fool, and he like makes you show him his socks, and if your socks are high, then the reference is the higher the sock, the downer the foo. And so he does all these rap songs, but that guy,
my socks are always up.
Hard Rock Nick has come out on that. But look, on one hand, yes, he's a self-promoter. He's a person who has made a lot of money doing what he's doing. I think right now his net worth is like $5 million. That's actually legit. But you know what though? He like anything else, dude. I
don't want to live in this planet anymore.
You gotta pass the smell test, if you will. And this guy, like, dude, like he's a big, just like what's her name, Tila Tequila. He is crazy, but he was able to monetize his insanity, and that's the problem, right?
Doesn't sound very crazy to me,
right?
If being rich is like, if being rich is equal to being moral, like, and if being rich is equal to being moral and right, sure, yeah, in principle, sure, but no, it's like the fact is that there's just people, and again, I say it again, he's cut off the same stone as somebody like Trump, who they've cut off that inner dialogue, that inner person. For the sake of this character that they've created to make money, and they believe their shit. You wouldn't be able to separate them anymore. So this fantasy that he turns off the camera and suddenly he's this normal guy, I highly doubt it.
But it's like a method. It's like a method actor.
Even method actors are a little crazy, dude. But I don't know. I think
at a certain point, you've played the character so many times, like it's kind of your persona and who you are. Like you're going to start to implement a lot of those things into your everyday life. So like. If you see a method actor and you go, oh man, Steve Urkel, and then he goes into character real quick and gives you what you want because that's what helps him make money. If you look at what people value in this world, one of the reasons why incels are so mad at OnlyFans girls is because of the fact that they hear that a few OnlyFans girls can make 10 grand a month. And that's really the top 1% of them. That's not even all the bottom tier. But if you think about that, that's why they're mad. They're mad because everyone values money so much. It's worth it to lose my dignity. That's why I'm on this show. It's worth it to do all this other stuff to make and monetize and compromise your morals, because this is what our society has come to, where everybody, is it worth it to lose my dignity if it's gonna pay me millions?
Well, okay, so the thing about the incels too is there's a lot of self-loathing in there, because it's the same guys, and women exploiting that thing that guys have been doing for a long time. It's like, hey, you know what, if a pretty girl shows up in front, we're going to be biased towards them. I mean, it goes back to the pretty privilege and the plight of the pretty, where like, you know, one girl starts showing off her boobs in some way, and suddenly, you know, 5 guys want to pay her money for it. Before you know it, it's like 30 guys doing it. And guess what? She's making that money and she's comfortable with it. Good for her. But the rest of us are mad about it. But you know, hey, you're part of the problem too, guys. You know, you are what's the word, the popular word, simping? You're a simp, and that's what it is, you know. So you know what, man, just if you solve the problem, look in the mirror, start with you. Like, you as a person, you as a guy, just don't consume that shit, and eventually it'll go away. Or it might not, because there's always going to be other people who are willing to pay it. Leave them alone. Let them do what they do. You know?
And the thing about like the OnlyFans and these girls who are really attractive being able to make money in this, like I said, the plight of pretty, there's negative consequences to that. So Enrique, you used the word beautifully, simping. Yeah, she's getting paid off of all the simps. But the guys who are actually of value is the ones that she wants to date. And guess who doesn't want to date her? Those same guys of value. Because those are the guys who say, no,
not my girl.
Yeah,
but somebody does want to date
somebody
her.
does.
Yes, which is fine. But the ones who want
somebody wants to use her.
Wait. No. As you proved earlier with your Siamese twins getting married story, there's always someone for someone. There's always going to be someone for someone.
But what we're discussing here is not that there's just anyone for someone. What we're talking about specifically in these cases is that there's a bunch of simps who want her, who will do anything for her,
who would accept her in every way that she did.
What's the difference between a bitch and a hoe?
We covered that
hoes
earlier.
get paid and bitches have attitude.
Nah.
Yeah, that's
it's simpler than that.
Bitch is an attitude.
It's simpler than that, right? A hoe sleeps with everybody.
That's
bitch
a slut.
Sleeps with everybody but you.
She's like, okay. No, you know what's crazy? It's like in these. Okay, I worked at a topless bar. Full disclosure, everybody knows that. It's not a secret.
The secret is he was actually performing at the topless bar as well.
Come to the stage. Guys be angry. Guys are mad.
They're customers, right? There's your regular customers who come in all the time. And it's funny because when you work in an environment like that, the equivalent of an OnlyFans girl used to be a stripper. And these girls get paid to be looked at, and these simps come in and these simps want to date these girls, and the girls are like, nah, you're just my ticket to money. Right. Then they eventually the girl will break up with her boyfriend, and then she will give one of these simps a chance.
Sure.
And then the simp turns into this individual. The simp turns into this individual who starts to mistreat her because he doesn't want her to be in that lifestyle, and he doesn't like the fact that she does those things.
You're talking about white knights.
Yeah.
That's a whole other.
Yeah, that's a whole different thing.
It is, but it isn't.
Captain Save-A-Ho.
It is, but it isn't, because
that Indian food.
It eventually, when you talk about that same OnlyFans girl who's making $350K and that there's someone for everyone,
right? Right.
That someone might be that white knight who shows up and then all of a sudden has a problem with her and the way she makes her money. He was fine with it when he first met her, but then eventually he flips on it and then he doesn't want to be
that. Sounds like a personal
That's
issue.
a tale as old as every strip club ever.
Absolutely.
But listen,
hence why I brought it up. But I bring that up also to talk quickly about like how a lot of these, there's a suicide rate amongst adult actresses and OnlyFans girls that's on the rise, because this suicide rate and all this stuff is these individuals realizing how they're being used.
Well, I would disagree. It's not on the rise. It's just there's more of them now, so it's more popular and more buzzworthy when it comes to the news. But it's always been around. Savannah back in the 80s, 90s.
Who?
Long story short.
You've been watching porn that long, huh, sir?
I'm 45. Trust me.
We only got like 10 minutes, so there's one point I want to make about OnlyFans, but I like that you brought it back to that, so they kind of tie in together. So to your point, Doyle, here's a bigger question though, like, what is the psychological profile of somebody who goes to OnlyFans? Because that's a big question. Like, think about it. Like, if like, let's say that you have like a history of being, SA, right? Have a history of like, so then that sort of makes it a little bit easier for you to get, I'm not saying that everybody on OnlyFans is that, but I'm just saying as an overall profile. So therefore, like if the suicide rate is high or some type of mental health crises are high in OnlyFans, then the question begins, is it high because they're on OnlyFans, or are they on OnlyFans because of that history and therefore you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
that's the statistical sort of question you have to look at there. But okay, so here's the other thing about the OnlyFans stuff. Like, I mean, and this is more like a generalization because I'm I'll put it out there. So guys, we look at a girl, and I mean, most guys look and think like, you know what, she's really pretty, and then there's a little deeper voice saying, I wonder how she would look like naked, right? It's just a natural thought. Now, gentlemanly, we put it away and we move on, and we tend to meet people and we like them on their personalities, but there's always going to be that sort of like physical attraction component. Can't help it. Now, what OnlyFans does is like, you look at the pretty girl and you think like you see her on Instagram, you think, oh wow, I mean, she probably look really attractive naked, and suddenly there's the spicy link. You click on it and all you have to do is pay like $2 to see that thing. And some people do. Most people will. And guess what? She makes money off of it, and she's exploiting a very natural thing we have. Now, we then conversely as guys get mad, and it's a self-loathing thing because we're like, shit, she's just taking advantage of the fact that we want to pay to see that shit. Well, fuck her for that. And I'm saying that sarcastically because, I mean, hell, I'm just saying we want to see it. We want to pay for it. And there you go. Now, I'm hoping that it's a trend and a fad.
Mad at that?
Well, not you and me,
but it's the fact of like, now when you want to date that person, obviously you wouldn't want to date somebody within that lifestyle.
That's fine.
But that's what we're talking about. Like,
no,
because she likely will want, like he was saying, a man of value. And I'm talking about value as far as like the people that she's going after that she's attracted to.
Okay, I feel like I'm on the show now. I'm on the Red Pill show. Dude, okay, so a man of value. Like, dude, a man of value is the same thing as a woman of value. What do you value? What do I value? Because I can tell you what,
and it's going to be all perspective.
I can tell you what I value in a woman. There's going to be some overlap for sure. But there's also going to be things that won't overlap, and that's okay too. That's
%, yes.
That's all I'm saying.
No, because you earlier you did say that there are certain definition and definite terms mean certain things. A man of value is different from the definition of a woman of value. Okay. Specifically, what do men value? What do women value? They are completely different.
Right. But what I'm saying though, it's also different to the individual.
Yeah.
I don't think
you
that we can
generalize. You cannot generalize.
We can find some baseline things we want.
Yes, there has to be a baseline because what we're talking about overall is initially who's the highest, most coveted individuals? Who is the individual that is coveted by the majority, right? So we have to be able to find a consensus of what are the majority looking for. For instance, a man with money is considered high value because more women want a man with money.
Right.
Yes, there's individual women out there who are fine with a broke dude, but that doesn't mean that guy's high value. That just means he's high value to her. That's not what we're talking about.
So you're saying no scrubs. Got it.
Yeah, so societal economics will take care of that real easily because like yes, men who have money have a larger dating pool in the same way that pretty women have a larger dating pool. Men who don't have money have a smaller dating pool, but those people exist, and that's all. Like, yes,
stop looking at me.
And so all I'm saying is this: is that if the argument then is like you go to OnlyFans and suddenly you're going to be ruined, or like in some way like you're not going to find a man of value. I don't know. I think it's a really dumb argument.
It depends because specifically. Okay, so what we're saying when we have this discussion, men value purity. So when you go to OnlyFans, you've kind of destroyed that purity a little bit. So to a certain,
there it is. I think that's where we're going to sort of veer off, and so maybe we'll stop it there. Only because when you talk about purity and that, I mean, I think that becomes a larger discussion because of what you consider pure and. Look, I'm gonna just say this. I think anybody who goes on OnlyFans, I don't think they're suddenly like cut off from finding a person that they find of quality to make their life. I mean, there's a lot of women on there who are married, and there are a lot of women who have, and I'm sure just like in any group, there's always going to be disparaging differences, like maybe divorces and whatever. But I just
let me clarify. I'm not specifically talking about my personal views of individuals. I'm talking about the overall consensus of the discussion. I'm trying to describe and explain this for the Squid Squad who's listening out there. And what I'm trying to explain here is that you have this bigger principle where you're talking about what the majority are saying that they're looking for. And what the majority is saying that they're looking for is that they're looking for attractive. For men, they're looking for attractive. They're looking for girls who are more on the pure side, who haven't slept around, who haven't basically been with a bunch of dudes. And then for women, you're looking for guys who have monetary and who can protect them. It's not super hard or super complicated to figure out, but these are the things that each individual value. Right now, you can balance that out. Maybe he doesn't have a lot of money, but he has a lot of personality, and you can bring up his value that way. Like if he has this phenomenal like personality and people love him everywhere, he may not be the richest dude, but women love the guy. That might bring his value up. Okay, she might not be the hottest thing in the world, but maybe she's just a breath of fresh air. I would rather date a pretty 7 than a beautiful 10. Personally, that's just my preference because of personality. But it just depends. And yes, it can factor and waver, but we know what the bigger picture is. All
right, I'm bored.
I know you wanted to cut this one, but I want to share one more thing before we go. Give me 2 minutes, and I promise this will be worth your time. Have you
just
guys
play some Pink Floyd over it, and Angel will be fine.
Yeah, good idea.
No, this one,
an hour.
This one is gonna catch your attention.
Hold on.
I'm making fun of him, by the way.
Let me say. Oh, that was making fun.
I'll never forgive him for the Pink Floyd fucking extravaganza.
The funny part is he's making fun of me, but he's the one who showed me the Pink Floyd album. When
I love Pink Floyd.
By the way, he came out with a new song, David Gilmour. Have you heard it? I'll show it to you after air. Just came out yesterday.
It's called
Go ahead.
Brown Floyd. No, I'm just kidding.
That's gross. Go. That's
okay.
a Rorschach test fail. Right
Have
there.
you guys heard of this new growing trend called Sprinkle Sprinkle?
No, but I was going to bring up that you had Sprinkle Sprinkle and Drizzle Drizzle in the notes.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, first of all, like I said, I am not a part of the red pill community. I actually don't really watch these things very often, but they pop up in my feed because I've seen a few of the videos, and I think this is extremely interesting. So as a response to the dating situation out there, women are complaining about going on dates. Oh, he didn't take me there. He didn't do this for me. And when they start to complain, they are now saying, oh, he didn't take me to a 5-star restaurant. Yeah. Sprinkle, sprinkle.
Well, I don't know about the Sprinkle Sprinkle, but I did see that some of them are like no Olive Garden. No, these are great fucking restaurants.
Yes, but they'll say no Olive Garden, sprinkle, sprinkle. No,
sprinkle.
That's what it is. It's like a trend. It's like a theme. So whenever you catch sprinkle, sprinkle, it's like basically like the women complaining. Well, like what we do, the men have responded, and the men are now starting their own
counter.
Yeah, their own counter, and their counter is just as delusional as the women. I am a man and I want to be pampered. Drizzle, drizzle.
Why drizzle, drizzle though?
Because it's as dumb as sprinkle, sprinkle. It makes no sense.
I mean, sprinkle, sprinkle. I think they're talking about like diamonds, how they sparkle and shit. But it still doesn't make sense now that I said it out loud. Never mind.
Thank you.
Because it'd be sparkle, sparkle, not sprinkle, sprinkle.
Yeah. So it didn't really make any sense. Bitch. Woo.
No, they're ignorant. That's ignorant.
And on that note,
I need to take shit.
So since I stopped the music, let's just say what you want to say before we go.
I said it.
All right, I'm bored.
I gotta go poop.
Okay.
Enrique,
hold on. So Enrique signed off with I gotta go poop.
Yeah, he's gonna go poop on a flat earth.
His shit is gonna be flat. Doyle? Doyle?
Treat everybody equally. Like, try to be a good person in a way that like you would want your daughter or your son to be treated. Stop being a douchebag on the internet. Get off the internet if you've been on the internet all day except for listening to this show, and just be genuinely a good human being to each other. Podcast out. Ouchcast out.
Podcast out. That's it.
I'll let you promote
Promote
us.
You start.
Okay. Go to www.ouchcast.com for everything Ouch. We have everything there, and we would love to see you.
And remember, you can always call us and leave us a voicemail at area code 925-421-6824. The number again is area code 925-421-OUT.
If you got an opinion on anything we said in this show, call us. Leave us an angry voicemail. Tell us what you think about Sprinkle, Drizzle,
Spackle,
about the
Spackle.
OnlyFans, people getting punched in the chest.
Sparkle.
Abby Hensel. Like, we want to know. What are your questions? What are your opinions? What are your thoughts?
What are your dreams? What
are we a bunch of misogynistic idiots, or are we actually equal thinking progressive human beings?
And remember, never make eye contact while eating a banana.
Drizzle.
Good night, everybody.